A small lamp cast a soft fluorescent glow on the bed where Amy knelt, dressed only in baby blue panties. Against her chest, she held a black cowboy hat covering her small breasts.
"It's yours. I found it at the Shadowlin Booth Library Fair."
Never one to break tradition, Amy always had a surprise for him when he got home. Last time he was away, he returned to a bottle of homemade raspberry wine that she'd received in lieu of a tip. She drank it down in 2 nights, singing its praises in a girlish, cute-as-hell sing-song tone.
Oh raspberry, finest wine is mine. Oh raspberry, wine gets me horny every time.
So even though she drank the whole bottle, it had still been a gift for him in the end. The Lipsium cologne she'd gotten him last year was the best. He didn't like it, but Amy loved it, and he loved the way it smelled on her. The familiar scent of spiced peaches and sagewood went straight to his groin, and she'd obviously splashed some on tonight. Let me have it, baby.
Come and get it, cowboy.
From a kneeling position, he perused her from head to toe without missing any of the crevices in between. With the cutest laugh, Amy hung the hat on his erection. He gyrated before placing it on his head. Yippee-ki-yay. He pushed her to the mattress. Now she was sprawled out for him to really get a look at her petite body. Each and every time he towered over her little figure, he felt like a giant about to devour a helpless little damsel. He covered her body with his, planting his fist on either side of her face. Her smiling pink lips reflected the pale lamp's glow. Gently as his patience would allow, he guided the length of his shaft toward her slippery sex. The tip of his cock had just begun to enter her when her hands suddenly retaliated with a barrage of slaps against his chest and flanks. She shoved him aside and jumped to the floor. Underneath the bed, she rearranged her sneakers toe to toe. Hurry up and get that sweet ass back here.
Tell Mr. Hokey Pokey to hang the heck on.
He thumbed at his bare chest. Pilot. Then pointed to his erect cock, impatiently twitching. Co-pilot. Shane wrapped his hand around his cock and stroked up and down, spreading pre-cum along the length. And I don't converse with my dick. Her eyes rolled to the ceiling as if in deep thought. Bringing her gaze slowly back to him, Shane could almost see the light bulb above her blonde head.
But Carmen said that all guys talk to their penises, so it has to have a proper name.
He continued stroking himself. Debating Carmen's infinite wisdom of cock wasn't really what I pictured us doing tonight. She crawled toward him, an angelic smile on her face and the devil in her eyes. She lay on the bed beside him.
So, no hokey pokey?
You cannot name my penis after a children's dance. It's just fucked up.
How about Colonel Zen?
Random, but better. He leaned down and suckled her neck, tasting and smelling those spiced peaches as if she'd bathed in the pulp. I'm gonna eat you alive. And I don't need any superstitious ritual to make you scream.
I never scream.
From the nightstand, Shane grabbed Bastet. He waved it like a scolding finger. You ever scream for him?
Oh, mercy, put that away. And Bastet is an Egyptian goddess, not a him.
Amy grabbed for the toy. Shane held it out of her reach. That's some handy info. Maybe I'll let her join us. But I want you to myself for round 1. He tossed the vibrator to the side before tugging her panties down her legs. Twirling the silk undies, he tossed them over his shoulders. The panties caught on the antlers of a deer head Shane had killed last winter, joining a lacy bra and chemise. He waited until she squirmed against him before thrusting. Hard. His mouth covered a hard, pointy nipple, while her hands traced the contours of his ass and slid up and down his naked back. He ground his pelvis against hers and sent a silent thank you to Aunt Carol. Love, Colonel Zen. Standing on the edge of the sea, Isaac choked and coughed. Blood and amber vomit poured from his gaped mouth and pooled at the massive two-headed wolf's scaly seaweed-dripping paws. Galmoria dismounted.
Did my baby catch a nasty bug?
He wanted to snarl at her, let her know the fight hadn't fled him. Galmoria's boot slammed into his chest. He splayed onto his back. A jagged shell clipped his right shoulder. More blood and venom drooled from his lips. He managed to crawl to his knees.
I will have you.
Galmoria gripped his shoulders, her fur-covered groin at eye level. The most stringent essence he had ever scented raided his nostrils. Isaac grappled her legs for support.
That's it, my cub.
Galmoria moaned as she swiveled her sex against his face, smothering him between her dripping folds. Her insidious nectar, mixed with the salt water, stung the back of his throat like tiny insect pincers. Isaac jerked away.
Never will I pleasure you.
His canines flashed. The back of her hand felt like a stone axe smashing into his cheek. He rolled onto his back again. Galmoria dug her heel into his chest, grounding against his Narkush stone that hardly held any glow.
You disgrace mother, little Isaac. Such a weak and puny cub.
Her fangs shot over her lower lip. Little resolve remained in his mind, and none in his body. Vostricht's deadly cocktail weakened his muscles, turning them rigid, burnt, and frostbitten. His teeth chattered as an icy fever captured his body. With a talon, Galmoria pointed to the sky. In the lavender clouds, a visage formed of Ira sitting on a bed next to a fevered Lynn. Sweat drenched his mate's hair, and her face was flushed, eyes closed. Isaac heard her soft purr. Galmoria smiled at Ira.
Hello, dear. I command you to kill that pathetic whelp.
No.
Don't sass, mother.
If Ira killed Lynn, it would mean his own death. Death by synchrony. It was not death that he feared most, but to watch his twin perish would be more punishing than any physical suffering Galmoria could inflict. With Lynn enraptured in the throes of her metamorphosis, she would be helpless against Ira, who acted under Galmoria's influence now. His brashness to conquer Galmoria had led him to Mount Vostricht and take enough poison to kill an adult minotaur. And now he and his twin would pay for his foolishness and impatience. Galmoria nodded skyward.
End her.
Ira drew a slim blade, turned to Lynn, and ran it through her abdomen. Isaac felt no pain. In his soul, Lynn's life force remained true. Closing his eyes, he feigned a final breath.
My poor, poor child.
Galmoria removed her heel.
You might have made a fine replacement for Adela.
Standing over him, she kicked at his ribs. Isaac's claws snatched her ankle, jerked and twisted. The bone snapped, and Galmoria toppled to the ground beside him. Galmoria clawed with her talons. Isaac wrapped both hands around her slimy throat before he twisted. Paralyzed, her lips pursed like a drowning fish. From behind, Isaac crept over her, his front to her backside, his cock against her asshole. He gazed toward the sky. Ira grinned. She held her blade up. It vanished. A phantom knife. Galmoria writhed beneath him, her head lolling on her shoulders. Before her broken neck could heal, he knotted his fingers in her hair and yanked her head backward. Empty, doll-like eyes met his.
Look upon my face when I fuck you like the demon whore you are.
Isaac's blood and pus-covered cock stabbed into her vile black hole. The sea wolf howled at the purple heavens.
I hate you, mother.
By the illumination of the small nightlight, Amy watched his silhouette, black cowboy hat and broad shoulders, rock back and forth. When she wrapped her legs around his waist, opening herself up, he rewarded her with a deep groan. Her mom once said men weren't worth a damn and to invest in lots of batteries. But Aunt Carol had told her the right man would know how to reach those special spots that no plastic toy could touch. And every girl needed that deep touch every now and again. That was what Aunt Carol had said, even though she'd never married. Amy's nails dug into his back. The deeper they buried, the harder he pounded. Her sex milked him as she exploded with orgasm. His cock snug, she relished in the feel of his bulk and masculinity, grateful he'd been the one to take her virginity years ago. He nipped at her earlobe. Her legs quivered as she crossed her ankles around the small of his back. Lifting his upper body, he gazed down at her. I love you, Amy Ray Baker.